Asset-based community development in 3 minutes. Starting now. This is Charlie. Charlie has a job. Charlie also reads scripture, is part of a church, and sincerely loves Jesus. Because Charlie reads scripture, is part of a church, and sincerely loves Jesus, he also has a heart for people. At some point in Charlie's life, he received inspiration from God to step out in faith and show God's love to the people around him. So that's what Charlie did. He stepped out, and because he is part of a church, he began caring for people by doing community service. After a while of doing service to the poor, Charlie realized something. What Charlie realized was that he and his church were in a city. But Charlie and his church lived in Redlands, and Redlands looks a little more like this. What Charlie realized is that often his church looks out at the people in the city and think to themselves, those people are broken, they make poor choices, and they are poor. And then his church does community service relating to their neighbors based on their neighbors' brokenness and poverty. At some point in that relationship, the neighbors react to the church's attitude and look back at the neighbors from the church and think to themselves, those people are broken, they're hypocritical, and they have poverty all of their own. What Charlie and his church learned to do was, instead of seeing people for their brokenness, poor decisions, and poverty, they looked at their neighbors and saw them for their gifts and strengths. Then, instead of service, or engagement, or participation, or care, the church decided to just be community with their neighbors. They decided to be a part of the informal network of friendships with their neighbors. What happened is that their neighbors no longer saw the church as broken, hypocritical, and poor. What they now saw were friends who were compassionate. From that point, the people from the church and the people from the city were friends who were willing to accept each other's weaknesses because they appreciated their strengths and friendships so much more. What happened was that even though some people from the city never stepped foot in the church's building, the church was now willing to step out of its building and be a leader in the formation of the informal networks of life-giving and spirit-filled relationships in the city. What happened was that the church people and the city people helped address each other's poverty through meaningful relationships. Together, they were able to solve many types of poverty. Isn't this a better picture of kingdom?